The Crocs. Many of us, admittedly, are repulsed by them. Some have resisted them and eventually been converted to them. Others just love them from the outset. But love them or hate them, Crocs are here to stay. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure where I stand on them, despite donning them today. And to be honest, I think I make them look quite good. Pretty colour coordinated, if I don't say so myself. But I am happy to admit, they're pretty comfortable. And as I displayed recently, they're not half bad to run in either. I mean, I ran a 4:43 mile in them, and actually a chap in the US, Benjamin Pachev, has run some very impressive running times in them, including a 66-minute half marathon. However, place these alongside your modern day carbon super shoes out there, they do seem like worlds apart. So, why don't we take a carbon plate from one of those super shoes and place them inside a Croc? A Croc super shoe, a Croc Carbon Pro X. So, these lovely Crocs are the subject of today's video. I'm hoping to turn these Crocs into world record-breaking shoes. Yeah, no, I don't know who I'm kidding, really. At most, I'm hoping I might run a faster mile time in them. To do that, I'm sadly going to be butchering these carbon-plated shoes, the On Cloud Boom Echoes, which I feel pretty bad about doing given that carbon-plated shoes are in quite high demand. But it'll be worth it. And I have got quite a lot of use out of them. I mean, these have seen better days, looking pretty discoloured. Probably worn them far more than I should, easy runs included. To do that, I'm obviously going to be pulling the midsole of these carbon shoes apart, taking that carbon plate out of them. I'm also going to somehow slice the sole of the Crocs off, or at least in half, then placing the carbon plate in, popping the sole back together, and voila. Yeah, I know, it's a recipe for disaster. The tools for today include an electric jigsaw, which my dad has kindly loaned to me. I did consider using an electric bread knife, but I was a bit worried the power wouldn't be strong enough. Only issue with this, blade maybe not quite long enough, so I might have to do it in 2 halves. I've got a couple of different blades, different serrations on it. I also have some hacksaws, should I need them, just in case. I have a Stanley knife, again, just in case, probably gonna need it. And the all-important Gorilla Glue to glue it all back together. Oh, and a bit of sandpaper knocking around here. And also, a beer. Wish me luck. Anyway, we are gonna get this show on the road. I've clamped the carbon shoes in the vise. Not really sure what I'm doing, but I'm going to try and start slicing the midsole apart. Here we go. Well, hey, we've got progress. I have got the very bottom of the midsole off, now exposing the speedboard. So if you've ever wondered what the inside of a carbon shoe or the On Cloud Boom Echo looks like, here we go. That would be very noisy to run in right now. So yeah, there's the clouds, or the cloud tech as On call it, exposing the speedboard. Obviously I still need to clean up a little bit. There's this small layer of foam on it. But obviously I still need to get that speedboard off this shoe. So a little bit more work to go. And I'm really getting a sweat on. Right, a little update. I have got the carbon plate out. I have shaved it down as much as I possibly can. Although it looks messy, it's actually such a thin layer of foam on there. I'm not just in the Croc, I mean, who's gonna care anyway? So that's cool. I mean, there's a carbon plate from a carbon shoe. Pretty neat, isn't it? And that is the destructed On shoe. Very sorry. I think they were dead anyway. So there we go. The Croc, I am in the process of getting this midsole off. Gotta say, this is probably the hardest task. This is very thin. And yeah, I have already ever so slightly gone through, so there's a tiny hole actually into the base of the shoe. So I need to rectify that. So this is slow going, but I'm getting there, bit by bit. Any suggestions how I could have done this better? Please drop them in the comment section down below. Maybe I'll take it in mind for my next pair of super carbon Crocs. So, that took a bit longer than I had hoped, and I also had to resort to a kitchen knife, just for a little bit more sturdiness in that blade. And yeah, pretty happy. I've gone for like a bit of a tapered effect, so we get the curvature when we put the carbon plate in there. Unfortunately, I have punctured it a little bit and put a hole in there. I mean, it was never going to be perfect, was it? But it's only a small hole. I'm only going to do a mile in it. So that is the base. The carbon plate will sit there, and then the Croc over the top. Now, if you've watched the mile attempt, our first one, you'll remember that we mentioned that we've sized down a little bit. That does mean that this carbon plate is slightly big. We sized down just so that these Crocs stayed on and fitted better whilst we were running. So I may need to just chop this carbon plate down a little bit. Tiny bit of overlap, but not too bad. Right, onwards. So, the epoxy resin is on, the Gorilla Glue, hopefully doing its stuff. I've got to be honest, unsurprisingly, this is the first time that I have glued a carbon plate to a foam sole. So I don't know how long it's going to take. It should theoretically only take 5 minutes, but it does seem to be struggling to set, hence the makeshift clamping system we've got going on here. Probably wouldn't suggest this clamping system. Meanwhile, I think it's a good opportunity to clean up and start on the second one. So this is it, the moment you've all been waiting for, the finished article, the carbon plated Croc. I have fully butchered these. I've gone for a proper scrap heap challenge style paintwork on it. I did think about doing a lovely stencil on it, but heck, I'm doing a carbon plated Croc, might as well just embrace this. So I'm back at the track for another mile attempt. Last time I did 4:43, I think, in just normal Crocs, sorry. So I brought in a pacer this time. I've got James in to help me round this mile attempt.
What have you done? To be honest, I mean, other than the spray paint, which I'm not sure holds muster, you can't actually, by looking at them, they don't actually look like there's anything different.
Feel the stiffness. Ugh, it's gonna spring.
It's gonna fall apart, mate.
Yeah, well, I think, talking about that, we should probably do a warm-up before this mile attempt, and I think maybe I'll wear my normal shoes.
Yeah, I think you should. On. We want to catch on camera during your mile attempt when they fall apart.
No, they're not going to. These are full-on production model.
So, how fast do you think you're going to go? Last time you were pretty rapid. I almost got beaten and I was wearing the normal carbon shoes.
So I'm hoping, well, obviously go quicker than 4:43, which I did in the normal Crocs.
Yeah, 4% faster. Right? I mean, they've got carbon now, right? 4%?
Well, look, it is a bit colder than our last attempt, and I'm not feeling 100%. Haven't done a lot of running lately, so...
that sounds like a lot of excuses you're piling up there to try and defend your rubbish shoes that you made.
Yeah. No, the shoes are great. Honestly, it'll be down to those reasons. Yeah. Anyway, let's get warming up.
Yeah, all right. Warm up. All right. Crocs Mile 2.0 with the upgraded carbon Crocs. Are we ready? Mark's going for a 4:43 or better. So, on your marks, get set, go! They might be the best shoes in the world. I couldn't keep up with him. Or maybe it's just my chest infection, but we'll give him the shoes. It's a new Crocs carbon world record! Well, it's the only Crocs carbon record, but brilliant, mate, brilliant. Best shoes in the world.
They didn't fall apart.
They didn't fall apart. Did you fall apart?
Yes.
No.
Oh, that hurt.
The world wants to know, what's the verdict? Not your time yet, we'll get to that. How do the Crocs feel?
They felt fine. They're still intact. They live to fight another day.
Wow, maybe Mark's got a future in shoe design.
I've got to say, I knew it wasn't my day after about 200 meters.
Wow,
Yeah,
you got about
felt
200 meters more than I took before I knew it wasn't my day. I was the worst pace setter in the world. I was behind him for the first lap and then I pulled out.
My overall time, 4:48. So
Wow,
a bit slower.
I mean 4 seconds slower.
And I've butchered a pair of Crocs.
All the things considered, they did hold up. I was quite surprised that they held up, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm not going to put it down to the carbon plate and me butchering it. I think it's the weather and me. I think come back on a summer day, better conditions, sub 4.
Sub 4, you heard it here first, folks. Tune in summer.
Yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed me butchering a pair of Crocs. If you'd like to see more Crocs related videos, highly suspecting not, then let us know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up, give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe down below too.